Good morning, real estate investors, and welcome to the only podcast that's dedicated to wholesaling and slow flips to set yourself free. How you doing? I'm Scott Jelinek, the founder of the Master Investor Academy and author of my best-selling book, Work Just Gets in the Way of Making Money. Today, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the current market that we're in, what's changing, what you should do differently, and how you can better capitalize on it. So first and foremost, if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, things you'd like to discuss, or properties you would like to sell, you can feel free to text me at 757-699-4227. That's 757-699-4227. So today, I just wanted to talk to you briefly about the current market that we are in. So I want to talk to you first about wholesaling, then if you're a rehabber, and then about slow flips. So if you are a wholesaler, okay, first let's start off talking about the market. The market is still good, right? The market is still good. Houses are still selling. Houses are still selling at top dollar. What's changing? And then I'm going to tell you what you need to change. So what's changing is you have slightly longer market times, but not across the board. We still see some houses selling in 2 days. So slightly longer market times. We are having buyers asking for seller concessions, meaning they're asking for their 2 or 3 or 4% closing cost assistance. We did away with that for a couple of years, and that was nice. They are asking for that again. They are giving us a more robust PICRA list, the items that have to be repaired before closing, where for a while it was just like, no, we'll just take it as is, don't worry about it, or just fix whatever I need to get approved for the mortgage. But now they are asking for stuff to be done. Not the end of the world. Again, the market is still good. What happens next year, we'll talk about next year. But right now, today, the market is still good. It's still very viable. We're still doing deals, I think, in all forms, no matter what you are, wholesaling, rehabber, slow flips, all of the markets for all three of them are still very good right now. So what are you going to do differently if you are a wholesaler? We're going to talk about all three. If you are a wholesaler, what you are going to do differently right now is, one, you need to stay strict to your numbers. No more loosey-goosey, oh, yeah, I know I was supposed to offer 80, but the seller said she needed 92, so I did it. No, you need to stick to your numbers and stick to them hard. Now, again, we buy, and everybody can do their own program, but we buy 65% minus repairs. Now, granted, for creative finance deals, for creative deals, there's all kinds of different formulas you can use. But for straight wholesaling, we try and stick strictly to that. I always try and go lower than that, but that's where we try and cap out at 65%. Now, if you have a seller who's telling you, oh, yeah, well, that's, you offered 82, but I really need 92. I know a lot of times, especially these last couple of years, we would concede because the market was so good and we knew we can still get it done. But what's happening more and more now, and I'm seeing it every day with guys that I'm working with that are saying, I got this contract, but now I can't get it sold. And that's because the rehabbers are getting tighter too. And we're going to talk about rehabbing in just a second. The rehabbers are getting tighter. So just because you can get something under contract doesn't mean you should. 2 more things I want to address on that. So now let's say you don't get the contract. You stick to your 80 and you're like, that's it. I can't go $1 over 80. And then another wholesaler comes in and pays 90, 92, or whatever the person wanted. Don't feel that just because that happened, you missed out on a good deal. I have people call me and they'll be like, well, it must have worked because someone else bought it. Well, that may be true. It may work, but oftentimes another couple things can happen. Maybe they contracted it and they're going to ride out their 30 days and try and then have to go back and say, sorry, I wasn't able to close it, which I have never done and I don't want you guys to do. Or number 2, maybe they're going to lose money, and it happens. So maybe they're not foreseeing this change in the market or being tighter, and they're going to do contracts that they can't close or do close and end up losing money. So just because someone else closes on something, that doesn't mean you missed on a good deal. Okay, so let's get that through your head. If you see you couldn't do it and you see someone else did it, that doesn't mean you missed on a good deal. If and when the market does shift, it will shake out. People that are doing those risky deals will no longer be in business. So you want to stay. We're always been fairly conservative. When the market was skyrocketing, you were able to play a little loose. But right now we're going back to sticking to our calculations, sticking to our numbers. The last thing I want to talk about on wholesalers is when you are on appointments. Now, I just told you the market is still good, right? And it is. The market is still humming along. It is still very good. However, the media is not saying that. The media is basically predicting. They're basically creating their own reality. They're going to create a bad market by telling everybody it's bad, right? And so there's no shortage of news articles, internet articles, people talking about how bad the market is. Well, use that to your advantage. So cut those articles out, cut them out of the paper, print them out off the internet, and bring them with you when you're talking to people. And there's an old line I remember from 2008. This was Larry Luagi's line, and I always used it back then, and I'm using it again. And that is, we're all victims here. So when someone says, oh, well, it was worth 265, you say, well, you should have sold it then in April. Yeah, that was a great market. But right now, this is what it's worth. And then you can back it up with showing the documentation that they're talking about how bad the market is and the whole world's collapsing and plummeting. So use that to your advantage. There's an article I just read, and actually I did a video on it. In Virginia, it said foreclosures are up 175% year over year. And that sounds really damning. You're like, 175%, foreclosures are skyrocketing. Not to say they're not going to be skyrocketing. However, they're not right now. But to say they're up 175%, it's true. But year over year, we're talking to 21. You can go back to 2020, and there was almost no foreclosures. There was some, but if they were occupied, they kept delaying them and delaying them and delaying them. So the regular foreclosures that should have happened were minuscule. So now that we are doing foreclosures again, to say we're up 175% means nothing. They should have said they should have compared to 2019 to where we are today. And that would give us an insight as to where we are in the market. But comparing to last year, when we were hardly doing any foreclosures, it means absolutely nothing. But that doesn't mean you can't still clip out that article. And when you're meeting with somebody, be like, listen, and you better get this done soon, because as you can see, the market's plummeting fast. And here we go. It's tanking, right? You have the documentation to support what you're saying. So if you're a rehabber, one big thing I want to talk about if you're a rehabber, well, two things. One is be vigilant of your costs are increasing. Everybody talks about they're gonna start to go down, or at least some of the labor may start to go down when they're not as tight, but that has not happened yet. Your costs are increasing, your materials are increasing, and so you need to factor that in. You need to stick to your numbers as well, which is why the wholesalers need to stick to theirs, because there's not that leeway you once had. On top of that, this is the most important thing if you're rehabbing in this market. And it's not a big deal, but you have to buy and sell in the same market, meaning you buy it today, you close today, you get to work today, tomorrow. It can't sit for 6 weeks before you get to start working on it. There was a time during these last couple of years, if you bought something and did a poor job, meaning you didn't get to it for a month or 2 months or 6 months, you got rewarded because the market was going up so fast. Well, that time has passed. So now we don't know what's going to happen in 2, 3, 6 months from now. But we do know the market's still good. And so if you close today, you need to buy, renovate, and sell in the same market. You can't sit on it for several months and then get to work on it. That's a big tip I want to give for you rehabbers out there. Speed wins right now. You can't buy a bunch of properties knowing you only have one crew. Don't close on 6 and figure we're going to do one at a time over the next 6 months. Close on 1, renovate it, unless you have 2 crews or 3 crews or however you're working it. But don't leave property sitting waiting to be done, because the evaluation you did for it to buy now may not be the same valuation when you're ready to sell. So speed wins right now, and make sure you're buying and selling in the same market. Slow flippers, we are on fire. It is insane. I thought it was going to slow. And you guys remember all the way back from March of 2020, I thought we were going to be in a horrible position. I was preparing everybody for the apocalypse when the world shut down. I was like, well, how are they going to pay? The government stepped in and kept paying. And as we've gone, prices have gone up, rents have gone up, vacancies have been at zero and zero. And I don't mean close to zero. I mean zero since 2020. And so I keep saying, well, it can't last. And it's still lasting. So right now, our down payments are still through the roof. Our monthly payments are through the roof, and our costs are through the roof. However, why am I not saying I'm completely bullish right now? No, I'm always bullish on slow flips. That's the best thing I've ever done in my life. I love slow flips more than anything. However, I don't want to be too loose with the pricing we're willing to pay. For a while, we were always stuck with our numbers of 30 grand. We were trying to buy these $30,000 houses, pay them off in 5 years, and it worked out fantastically. For these last few years, we've been stretching and paying, on some cases, 50 grand, some even 60 grand. If the houses were really good, we'd pay a little more. Well, and I still am. I closed on one this past month. I paid 55 for, but it's worth 149 as it sits without even rent. If I wanted to sell it for cash, I'm not. I'm keeping it as a slow flip. But so I'm still paying more on some. However, I don't want to just blindly be paying more because we can, right? Because we don't know what happens next year. And I think next year we're going to start buying at our old pricing again as the market gets tighter. Now, even if the market doesn't drop, as long as market times expand, which they will and already are starting to, the motivated seller market expands for us. So even if the actual market, the retail market doesn't change, that doesn't matter to us. What matters is that they can't just they can't put it on the market and sell it as is in a day or a week and get a contract and close for cash. Once that market slows, that enables us to buy deeper for slow flips. And so, yes, I'm still buying. I have 20 under contract right now. I have 20 I'm buying at 31,000 each. So I'm very excited about that. That's going to bring me up to 158. And I'm really pushing. I want to be at 200 by the end of 2023. Maybe I'll exceed it, but I want to get to 200 by the end of 2023. So 100%, I am still buying. I am still, as I always am, very, very bullish on slow flips. But I'm just letting you know, I want you to still be tight with your pricing because I think we're going to have massive opportunity coming into next year. So that's all I got for you guys. I just wanted to do a quick hello, good morning, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Have a fantastic day. Remember, don't believe the hype. The market is still good right now. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not saying that we're going to have some market shifts. I fully believe we are going to have market shifts, but it hasn't happened yet. Right now, it's a lot of media. It's a lot of internet. It's a lot of predictions. But when you look at the actual sales data, they're still selling. The prices are still high. There's a little concessions we're paying, but market times are still quick. And so we are still humming along. Have a fantastic day. Go out there, make something happen. Do something today that your future self is going to thank you.